Hey YouTube, welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video with Mr. Terry as I continue my search for historical knowledge here on the internet. Alright, today's video comes again from Sam Onella, the great Sam Onella, and today's video is pre-industrial surgeries. So this is a fascinating thing in the fact that the Industrial Revolution brought in the modern anesthetics that we use today. So pain aids and things that you can use to make better surgeries, specifically for the person being operated on. And that was a big reason why, as starting kind of with the Industrial Revolution, we live longer lives now and are less susceptible to certain ailments that now we can have remedies for and surgeries for and stuff like that. So it's one of the biggest medical breakthroughs of the modern era. And obviously there were surgeries before the Industrial Revolution, but if you can imagine how much challenging it must have been and how awful it must have been for someone getting a surgery without a lot of the modern practices of anesthetics and just surgical procedures. So I'm sure it was pretty weird, and knowing Sam Onella, he'll probably tell us some interesting stories that way. So we'll see what I can add here context wise. Hopefully that was a good background already for what's going on. Now if you like this video, down below I always put the original video links, so go there, give them a view, like, subscribe. I'm sure you know who Sam Onella is, but if you haven't subbed, definitely do it. And if you haven't subbed to my channel, love to have you around as well. Hit that sub button, enable those notifications so you can hang out with us at live streams and live premieres. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So pre-industrial surgeries.
Hey kids, had a bad day? Well, could be worse. You could be living in a world without modern anesthetic. Today, we'll be talking about some surgical procedures carried out long before the development of medicine as we know it today. Now, once you go back a certain distance, the line between operation and mutilation is pretty thin. So, for our purposes, surgery refers to any bodily manipulation carried out with the intent of fixing some injury or illness. And
I mean, think how common surgery is today, getting some kind of procedure. But think of all the things that go into that as far as prepping you for pain and just making more accurate, informed decisions by surgeons themselves. And just think, like, not even that long ago, how challenging that must have really been.
And away we go. The very first surgery that we have historical evidence for dates as far back as 6500 BC. It's called trepanning, which is a nice word for carving someone's frickin' skull open using nothing but a rock. Maybe a rock on a stick if you were lucky. In all seriousness though, you can see that a good deal of care went into the procedure, which lets us know that this isn't just the result of random injury. Many skulls even showed signs of healing around the holes, meaning plenty of the people who underwent this whole thing just got up and went about their day after.
You wonder what that was, what they were performing there for those surgeries. Your brain's sticking open, and then it's surgery and the fact that they sewed him up. Sorry, I think he was in the middle of a joke. Let's go back 5 seconds.
Around the holes, meaning plenty of the people who underwent this whole thing just got up and went about their day afterwards. All right, hold on.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have, I think, people doing like stitches and stuff, like an open wound, trying to close an open wound, but trying to open somebody up, perform something, and then going back. That's interesting. I don't know, like, we had recorded history. I guess you would just look, you would look at the archaeology there. I mean, when you're looking at people and stuff like that, or the anthropology there, and you could see the the fragmentation or whatever in the bones. I know in recorded history there's, like, the Egyptians were performing procedures that we actually use today. So I mean, the great civilizations basically all performed them in some way.
You say, this all sounds guano insane. No way this was that common of an occurrence. Well, friend, if you've been watching this channel long enough, you should know that if you give human beings the benefit of the doubt, chances are they'll prove you wrong. In fact, so far, over 1,500 trepanned skulls have been dug up all across the globe, from Europe to China and even the Americas. This means that between 5 and 10% of all skulls that we've found from the Neolithic period have had at least one man-made hole scraped into them. To put it,
that's interesting. It depends on what the hole is, because I know in the hunter-gatherer societies, fighting, conflict as a cause of death is enormous. Like something like a quarter or something. I forgot where it was. I was watching that. But learning about that, like a quarter of the bodies that we find have evidence of trauma. Warfare was very common because in the pre-industrial days, or sorry, pre-agricultural days, or early, I should say, early agricultural days. Competition for land was so big, especially really arable land that wouldn't take as much work. Now we can farm about anywhere, but back in those days, yeah, there's incredible trouble. So I wonder if if that includes, if that what they're saying there, with how many people have this is human forced holes in their head. It's from like a medical procedure versus warfare, though.
This way, based on that data, there's a greater probability of someone born in the late Stone Age having their brain matter exposed by some shaman with a chunk of flint than someone born in the USA being a redhead. To this day, nobody really knows why this was such a common practice, but most theories tend to revolve around the idea of releasing some kind of dark supernatural force from the patient. Man, I'm getting real sick of all these evil entities infecting our minds and bodies. Huh. You can say that again. I tell you, I need these demons like I need a hole in the head. No, wait. Fast forward to 600 BC.
So it's like, oh man, I'm filled with weird feelings. I have a headache, something. I need to let something out. That can't have gone well, right? All right, 600 BC. Let's get some more. We'll get to civilized, more sedentary civilizations.
Over in India, there lived a guy called Maharshi Susruta. Now, this guy was a medical mastermind. He wrote a treatise.
Wait, let's look at his brain.
A guy called Maharshi Susruta. Now, this
parts of his brain. House MD episodes. Why asparagus makes your pee-pee smell. Proper dump frequency. Other inbred or just weird looking. How to remove a hangnail without ripping your finger open. Is this what your heads are filled with?
This guy was a medical mastermind. He wrote a treatise known as Susruta Samhita, which described countless different conditions, treatments, and yes, even surgeries, one of which is the first recorded instance of rhinoplasty. That means nose job. A hornbill's a type of bird. I'm here too. Anyway, here's how it's done according to Susruta. First, you get them plastered, obviously. Yeah. Second,
historically, the best thing for pain management was usually get somebody really, really drunk. That can help a little bit with that. But even with that, it's not going to be pleasant. You're not just putting them out like you have now. Now you wake up you go to sleep, wake up, and yeah, you got a new nose with some pain, but hey, you don't remember the actual procedure.
You use a leaf to measure out the part of the nose you want fixed. Then, you use the leaf to cut off a flap of skin from the cheek or forehead of the patient. This part's important though. You gotta remember to leave a little piece of it still attached. Otherwise, you just got a chunk of dirty dead face meat on your hands. Now, wherever you're looking to stick the new flesh on, you rub that part raw with a knife. Also, you're gonna want to stick 2 plant stalks in their nostrils so their nose keeps its proper shape.
Okay, you'd have to wonder here, is this going to be worth it? People, have big dilemmas about getting facial surgery now, but back then, when you're going to have to go through this and you're conscious for it, you'd have to really, really hate your nose, wouldn't you?
Slap the skin on, suture it, dust it with licorice powder.
See, here's the thing, too, though. You know how bad this is going to look afterwards? Like, today, you can look real great after you get the facial surgery, but you're going to look terrible. Like, are you really going to look better than what you had before?
Some reason, and cover it with cotton. Sesame oil should be regularly applied until the skin is fully healed. If you're like me, I already do that by default, so it shouldn't be an issue. Finally, at long last, your sniffer is reborn. Don't worry, you still look like a freak.
I like that his eyeballs are like, one's over here, feet in my mouth, then the little one's off his face.
Just slightly less so. Moving on, our next surgery took place in 10th century Spain on Sancho I of Leon, otherwise known as Sancho the Fat. Now, normally, back in the day, having some meat on your bones was a sign of wealth and power and all that, but this guy was like TLC documentary tier, to the point where he could hardly function as a human being. So his constituents...
Amazing, you've wondered that there was obesity was that big of a problem in the 10th century. So you're talking about the 900s, Middle Ages there. How could somebody be so overweight? It's pretty easy to become overweight these days with the food and stuff we have, but back then, that has to be like a truly glandular problem to have that sort of thing, because you're not overeating especially of products that can just quickly make you overweight. In the Middle Ages, there's no way.
Said, "Greetings, your thickness. Yeah, you can't be king anymore on account of you keep breaking every horse we give you, and nobody wants to wash between your accordion-like neck folds no more." After his adipose got him deposed, Sancho decided to seek medical help for his condition, under the oversight of well-reputed physician Hasdai ibn Shaprut, which is an anagram for paintbrush aids. Now, if there's one thing that medieval man understood, it's practicality. Lap band, gastric bypass, belly balloon, these all exist.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do now. How are I just want to prep myself here. How can you do a weight loss surgery in the 900s? I mean, look how difficult it is and potentially like deadly, you know, with what they do now. Yeah, restricting the stomach size and all that. All right, this should be wild.
Exists to help people who don't have the self-control to stop eating so much on their own. But Dr. Chapadou didn't believe in beating around the bush. He said, well, why don't we just stop the patient from shoving food into his own greasy maw in the first place? And decided to just up and stitch the dude's lips together. After the operation, the only nutrients that Sancho received came through a straw, in the form of a mixture known as thoriaca, which was a complex blend of several herbs, fruits, and seeds, including opium. It was basically the closest thing you could find to lean at the time, and lean he became, losing around half his weight before ascending to the throne once more.
So literally, okay, this makes more sense of the only thing you could probably do back then. Literally close his mouth. Now this is a king. Imagine that king. Like this, right? He's all sutured, and all they can do is just put stuff into the tube. I guess whatever works. I wonder if they're gonna open it up, like cut it open eventually, and then he'll be able to do normal stuff, but do this until he loses the weight.
So this is the part of the video where I pander to the desires of the audience. If there's one thing I know you internet people can't get enough of, it's things going inside people's eyeballs. Let's talk about cataract surgery. The art of dealing with people's clouded lenses has been around for millennia.
I know cataract surgeries are one of the oldest surgeries that are out there. I've heard of that. Was it the Egyptians that were doing it? I know it's come across in curriculums I've taught. I forgot. I want to say it was Egyptian that had a cataract surgery. Imagine doing that, because today what you do is the cataract, right? It's a clouded lens. There's all kind of materials or whatever in it. And then what they do today, though, is they cut it out, take off the clouded lens, but then they put in a new one. But I don't know what you'd replace it with here, so let's see.
Believe it or not, that Susruta guy from earlier actually talked about the most common procedure for cataracts for most of civilized history, which is known as the couching method. Couching is done by taking a sharp object like a needle or a thorn, and ever so gently stabbing their eye hole at weird angles until the lens moves out of the way. No lasers, no sedatives, no paralytics, just a rusty old pin and some elbow grease, the way God intended.
That couldn't lead to blinding or infections. Now, I've had LASIK. And that was fairly uncomfortable, but not too bad at all. I can't even imagine this and the anxiety that would come with that. But I mean, if it's clouded so much that you're pretty much blinded, which can happen with cataracts, maybe you're willing to go ahead and go with this.
The majority of the time, this operation didn't work, usually just damaging the already blind eye irreparably. Shocker, right? And even if it did...
Well, yeah, if you don't have the front part, you can't see.
...as planned, you still, didn't have a lens in your eye, so you essentially went from, I can't tell if I'm dead or not, to, ah, yes, it is quite yellow out today.
Yeah.
By God. Something moved somewhere. A slightly more refined version of this operation is the suction method, which dates back to at least the 10th century AD, if not older. This procedure is described as requiring, quote, a large incision in the eye.
Okay, so there's a suction process when you get LASIK today that I had. There is. It sucks. It's very that's the only uncomfortable part. The laser part's not uncomfortable. It's the suction, because they gotta like pull this out so they can make the incisions easier.
A hollow needle, and an assistant with an extraordinary lung capacity. Though this reads like the setup to the world's most horrifying party trick, it's actually the bare minimum number of tools needed to completely extract the lens from the eye. In case you didn't pick up on how, here's a diagram. This method generally saw a greater success rate and fewer complications than its non-extracting counterpart. So hopefully you can sleep well tonight knowing that the number of human beings who have sucked a piece of somebody's living eyeball through a straw is above zero. Anywho, let's all just be thankful that we live in an era where procedures like these are a thing of the past. Now remember kids, even though the surgeries I described here do sound pretty easy to pull off, please don't try them at home. But if you do, please put it on LiveLeak afterwards. But you know what you can do at home? Learn stuff about things with Brilliant.org. Brilliant's elegant UI and step-by-step design makes learning seemingly complex topics very intuitive, especially for visual learners like me. Don't think you can understand special relativity? With Brilliant, I bet you can. I'm just some kid in a room somewhere and even I got the basics. Check this out. Relativistic laser tag. Don't tell me that doesn't sound fun. Then later when you're talking to your friends, you can be like, yeah, I'm taking a course in special relativity right now. No big deal. Maybe gonna hit quantum objects in a couple weeks. So to support me and broaden your understanding of math and science, go to brilliant.org/salmonella and sign up for free. Also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription. Anyway, till next time, I'm Salmonella, and watch you for thanking. Wait, shit, I meant...
All right. Well, yeah. Let's all be grateful of what the modern industrialization and industrial revolution has done with creating anesthetics and then being able to mass produce them, and with the the machines and the mechanisms that we have to perform surgeries that used to be just incredibly challenging or impossible, that now are in and out pretty much 100% safety, safe procedures these days. But like I was saying before, to give you just some more context, is what are the big reasons, and there are multiple reasons, of why lifespans are longer than they used to be, was for stuff like this, right? Things, procedures that were not either possible or very risky for most of human history. That was, again, didn't have a very high success rate all the time. And now, again, we have things and procedures that we can do very easily, right? Which is one of the many things that has increased our lifespan. Of course, this big thing is mass production of food and stuff like that. But medicine, the way the medicine has come along, and now we can not just develop them, but mass produce. And that is something that all came in with the Industrial Revolution. And glad they Sam kind of used, the terminology and I guess the time frame of pre-industrial surgeries, because that's really when we're talking about the biggest changes. 'Cause surgeries have been around, like I said, forever. I mean, the ancient Egyptians were doing surgeries, but you got to just expect the success rate was not very good, and a lot of just procedures were not going to be possible at all, anyways. And now, again, things are very routine that are often life-saving. So. One of the things to definitely be thankful for in this, that has come as a result of this. And again, we live longer and healthier lives than our ancestors of the past. All right, well, good stuff. Oh, sorry if you were squeamish there and you saw some of those things, but at least it was cartoons and not real life. So I don't know what to say there, but all right, with that, guys, down below again is a link to the original video. Go check that out. Give them a sub, like, view, all that stuff, then that'd be appreciated. Thanks to everyone that's been supporting the stream in lots of ways. Thanks to those that have been giving super chats in the live premieres. Patron pledgers, thank you so much. Remember, if you're a patron pledger, you get to vote in polls, and that starts as low as it can be at $1 a month there to vote in polls. Thank you for those that are doing that. But thanks just for being here and being part of our history community. Join our Discord server if you'd like to get involved in our community as well. Link will be down below as well. Okay, with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.